Hi everyone, what's going on? My name is Gabby. If you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back. Let's yap about some books. So in January, I read 8 books. I read 2 romances, 1 dark romance, 1 fantasy, 3 novellas, and 1 mystery thriller. Okay, so the first book I read in January was Scarred by Emily McIntyre, and I gave this book 3 stars. I really enjoyed, this is from the Never After series, which is an interconnected standalone series where basically it's fairy tales reimagined. So I know this one is obviously based off of The Lion King, but Emily McIntyre has one about Cinderella, about Peter Pan. She recently came out with one about The Little Mermaid. They're all kind of based off of that, but it's kind of adultified, and it's like villain gets the girl trope. These are dark romances though, so there is like trigger warnings. Definitely check those before you read them. This book is about a royal family between 2 brothers. There's Tristan and then Prince. Well, they're both princes. Oh, Michael. Michael's his older brother. So like in the book, Michael is Mufasa and Tristan is Scar. And then there's a girl who comes to be Michael's bride, Sarah. Sorry, I have to keep, it's been a month. It's been a whole month. So Sarah goes to the castle to become Michael's bride, and it's a political sort of marriage. Like, oh, Michael's about to become king, he needs a queen. So it's kind of a setup like that. But Sarah has her own little agenda. You know what I'm saying? So Tristan sets eyes on Sarah and ensue romance, if you call it that. I don't necessarily call what he does romance. I call it trauma. He needs therapy, but nevertheless, this is a fun story. It's fun to follow. Some of the stuff had me like, what the fuck? Like, girl, I really like her character, except girly folds pretty easy, I will say, but it had a satisfying ending. I'll say that. I think it goes a lot of places that books kind of get scared to go. Like in terms of like, not dark, like Haunting Adeline dark like that, like in forms of like revenge. Like it goes, like Tristan doesn't have any morality. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no mercy when it comes to him. And even sometimes I'm like, dude, let up a little bit. So I think that it kind of, you ever like watch a movie or something and you're like, kill them, they kill them. But then the guy's like, I can't kill them or I'm just like them. Tristan doesn't have that. So it's a little bit satisfying because there's definitely corruption in the kingdom. I think, no, there's no powers. There's no magical stuff, but there's like secret corridors and little meetings and things like that. So it's an interesting read. Like I said, 3 out of 5 stars. Okay, the next book is a novella by Freida McFadden. It's called The Gift, and I gave this book 3 stars. It's just a fun little Christmas time novella, and I actually didn't know that whenever I went to go play it. I was just on like my audiobook app, and I was just trying to pick something. I was about to drive to work. I was just trying to pick something, and I said, oh, Freida McFadden. Okay, click. Sometimes I don't even need to know what it's about. I just know it's Freida McFadden, and I just click it. And I saw that it was like 2.5 hours long. So I was like, oh, maybe like I thought it was a typo. I don't know why in my brain I didn't even think novella, but I was like, oh, it's a typo. It's probably like 12.5 hours, whatever. But then as I played it, I realized, oh, it's a novella. But it's that was a really long explanation about me realizing a book is a novella. Sorry. So basically it's about this woman, and she wants to go, she's working at the diner, late shift on Christmas Eve, and she meets this creepy old woman who's like, I have a pawn shop. You don't have, the woman is like stressing because it's Christmas Eve, and her husband are about to celebrate their first Christmas married together, and she doesn't have a gift for him, and she doesn't have any money to buy him a gift. So the creepy old woman's like, I have pawn shop. Come to pawn shop. So she goes and she looks, and it's like this weird vibe of a pawn shop. But then finally she like is like, oh my gosh, that's gonna be the perfect gift. Like I want that. And the lady's like, she's like, but I don't have any money. And the lady's like, oh, you can trade something else. I'm not gonna tell you guys what it is because it'll spoil a little bit. But she's like, you can trade something else. Not like that. So after going back and forth, the woman decides to do it. She goes home. She brings the gift home to her husband. and it ensues from there. They fight. He is, of course, books evoke emotions. When I tell you I was ready to jump into this book and give her husband a fucking 1-2, the audacity, the asshole, my camera's dying. What the fuck? This keeps happening. Let me speed through this, I guess. But yeah, and then the ending is, I guessed the ending, but it was fun. It was a fun story. Okay, and then I read my first 5-star of the year, which is crazy that I found my first 5-star like right in January. Because what were my dates? I literally read this like January, I started at like January 13th. So my first 5-star of the year was Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. So this is actually my first Abby Jimenez book. I think I've read a novella by her. I've read a novella by her before, but this is my first like book by her. And oh my gosh, I love her writing. She has such a way of intertwining fun and romance with like serious topics and handling it in such a perfect way. I really enjoyed it. So this is a story about Alexis Montgomery and Daniel Grant, I think. But Alexis is a doctor who comes with, like, she's like a very prestigious doctor. She comes from a family line of world-renowned doctors. And Daniel lives in a small town. He runs a bed and breakfast, and he's like the mayor of the small town. And Alexis is passing through one night. They get to talking at a restaurant, and they hit it off like that. And it's not necessarily slow burn, but it's like, it's so witty with how Abby does it that it doesn't even feel like it's too fast. Like, it feels like it's a perfect pace. Everything about the timing to me was perfect. I so enjoyed this book. Basically, Abby is in a different city. She's in Montgomery, I believe. Yeah, Montgomery. No, her last name is Montgomery. Girlie, she's somewhere. She's in the big city. He's in a small town. They're like 2 hours away, I think. And they are like twin flames. Like, their souls want each other, but they can't make it work because neither one of them is able to leave where they're at. Okay, guys, my camera died and it has been hours, so I have no idea where I left off at. I know I was talking about Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. That's as much as I got. I know I gave like the premise of it. So I think I was at Alexis and Daniel. They can't come together. Like, they both can't leave their respective lives to like meet in the middle or go to one or the other city to be together. So you just kind of follow their path and their journey as they navigate that. When I tell you, this is funny, heart-wrenching, gut-punching, beautiful writing. There is I don't know if you guys can hear that. I've got some family over. So I took this time to come and do this video while I've got some help with the kids. I think one of my favorite things about this book is that the conflicts aren't dragged out. It's enough to make you like really feel it and be upset and empathize with the characters and feel sad, but it picks up back to like, okay, we're figuring this out before things get like really just like this fucking sucks. So I think that was a big thing I appreciated about that too. But yeah, it is my first 5-star. I literally could not stop thinking about it afterwards. And it's not often that I give like a contemporary romance 5 stars because I typically find something that I kind of don't like with it. But this one just really hit the nail on the head. I think the next one, it's in a 3-book interconnected standalone series. I think it goes Part of Your World, Yours Truly, and then Just for the Summer. I have Just for the Summer, but I don't have Yours Truly. I think I'm gonna buy it on Kindle so I can like read it and then I'll move on to, because you don't have to read them in order, but I've heard that it's a lot better if you do, like you get a better experience. So I'm gonna try that. I think I'm gonna, once I finish the book I'm reading on my Kindle right now, I'm gonna go ahead and buy Yours Truly and get through that. But yeah, completely love it, in love with her writing. I cannot wait to read more of what she has written. Okay, so the next book I read on my Kindle. It's called The Wrong Daughter by Dandy Smith. I picked this book on a whim. I was headed to work one day, and before I pulled out of my driveway, I was like, let me just throw an audiobook on. I read the premise. Basically, the premise is one daughter goes missing whenever they're young, and then she suddenly reappears like 15 years later, and there's like some conflict. There's some, is this really her? Where have you been this whole time? And basically, it's the thing on the back of it said, like, what happens if the parents end up believing the wrong daughter? Olivia's the one who goes missing. I forget the FMC's name. Let me look. Okay, Caitlin. Her name is Caitlin. So Caitlin and Olivia are younger. Olivia's the older sister, and she gets kidnapped as a child. Caitlin witnesses the whole thing. I mean, it's a play-by-play. It tells you, so that's a trigger warning. And then it kind of time jumps to 15 years later, talks about kind of Caitlin's life, and then Olivia reappears. But things are not completely what they seem. Why is she acting different? Why are some memories gone? Who's this masked man that keeps watching us? Why is Caitlin's fiance suddenly acting different? Who's this random person that's introduced? Like, there's so many things. When I tell you, like I said, started this book on a whim on an audiobook before I went to work one day. The writing in this is so beautiful. It's so descriptive, but it's not like overly descriptive into the details. It just really transports you to the scene. I mean, I definitely want to read more from this author. This writing was beautiful. I listened to it on the audiobook, and then whenever I got home, I was like, dang, I really want to like read this. I looked on Kindle. It's on Kindle Unlimited. It's pretty twisted. Like, I kept trying to guess because there's multiple twists. So it's not just like one big thing. There's like multiple different things throughout that you find out. And oh my God, when I tell you, I did not guess the final twist. And it's a dual POV. I did not guess the final big twist. I didn't even guess some of them. Like read the book. I'm so serious, just read the book. Okay, so next was a novella I read, Mary Ventura and the Ninth Kingdom by Sylvia Plath. This is just a quick read. I think it's about 40 pages. I read it for a reading vlog I did earlier this month, or last month. This basically tells the story of a girl who gets on a train, and it's just her journey on that train. She meets a woman. They start talking, and the woman starts to kind of like drop hints at things. And it's kind of like, it's a metaphor, right? To me, I kind of took the metaphor like afterlife, like talking about heaven and hell, maybe. But I think on the back, it says it's a dark tale of female agency and independence. Written not long after she herself left home, grapples with mortality in motion. This was great. I gave this 4. What? I felt like I can't give a 40 page book 5 stars, but I gave it 4. This is very impactful with just the small, the short 40 pages that Sylvia Plath used. I highly, highly, highly recommend pick it up. I finished it in maybe 15 minutes. This is so, I'm definitely going to read it again at some point. It's just one of those things, like, it just sticks with you, you know? I definitely want to read more by her. I want to read her journals, and then maybe I'll pick up the Bell Jar at some point. But yeah, it's good. Okay, so the next one that I read was an audiobook. It was The Widow's Husband's Secret Lie by Frida McFadden. It was a satirical novel, so it was silly, funny, kind of like a parody, but like in a book, just over the top. Stupid, funny little twist. I gave this book 3 stars. It was just a good time. I think the audiobook's like 2.5 hours. It was just funny, silly, stupid. Basically, this woman, her super mega rich husband dies in a car accident. But who killed him? Was it an accident? We never know. Basically just solving, like, her husband died and now she keeps seeing him everywhere. Why is that? It's a good little fun read. Okay, next I read The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren, and I gave this book 4.5 stars. I had such a good time with this book. I wanted to give it 5 stars, but I just think that, honestly, I wish it was a little longer. I think, how many pages is it? It's like 395 pages, but I so enjoyed it. So it's by Ethan and Olive, and basically they are like arch nemesis, whatever. They don't get along, but Olive's twin sister Amy is getting married to Ethan's brother, forget his name. But everyone at the wedding gets like food poisoning basically from the buffet, except the only people who didn't eat the buffet food were Ethan and Olive. But Olive's sister Amy won a free honeymoon sweepstakes thing like to Maui. So she's like, Olive, you're my twin sister, like identical twin, go in my place, say you're me. Like, you've got to go. Ethan's gonna go too. Please enjoy this honeymoon because I want it. I don't want it to go to waste. So they go on it, and obviously they start off as enemies, and you're in Olive's POV the whole time. And it's enemies to lovers trope, obviously, but there's also like some deeper stuff going on, which I think that Christina Lauren, they handled it perfectly. This is so funny. Olive is such a funny character. She might be my favorite. Yeah, I think she's my favorite character that I've read so far this year. Like, that's not, and it's like new character, shall I say, because I also read Onyx Storm this month, and Zayden Ryerson, love him, always gonna be my fave. But Olive is my favorite FMC that I've read about this month. She is so funny. It's like such dry, sarcastic humor. This book literally had me like, this book literally had me out loud like cackling. I miss them. I love the family dynamic. Okay, I've got to stop holding it. I love the family dynamic that Olive has with her family. It actually kind of impacted how I view my family as well. And I'm like, wow, like we're big and we're chaotic, but it's kind of nice. Definitely, it was really funny. A lot of twists and turns along the way. Something crazy happens with her sister at the end, and I'm totally here for it. I think I was out loud like, hell yeah, get his ass. It's definitely a good read. I highly recommend picking it up. Okay, and last but definitely not least, the last book I read this month. My sprayed edges. Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. Onyx Storm, the third book in the Empyrean series, goes Fourth Wing, which I'm sure people have heard of, and then Iron Flame, and then Onyx Storm. So this I cannot tell too much about because I don't want to give any spoilers away if you haven't read Fourth Wing or Iron Flame. But this goes through the story of Violet Sorrengail and her going to a war college to become a dragon rider, and kind of her journey of accomplishing that, going from enemies to lovers with Zayden Ryerson, and it just details their journey trying to defeat enemies and making alliances and going on journeys to try to find something that's been missing for like 600 years and trying to find cures to things. And just this is a wild ride. This book had me, at first I was a little bit confused going in. Like, I was kind of like you just kind of get dropped in it. You don't really get told like your bearings. Like, you know your bearings, but like you don't really, it just takes a while to figure out kind of what's going on, because it's like, oh, plans are in motion, but these plans haven't been explained to you, so you just have to figure it out when it happens type thing. But like, I'd say about 30 to 40% of the way through the book, I was absolutely hooked. I couldn't put it down. If me and my husband were going somewhere and he was driving, I would bring it with me, and I can't read in the car. I can't read in the car, but if we got to a red light, I would read it until he started driving again. Like, that's how into this I was. I gave this book 4 stars. I don't know if I already said that. This is kind of like one big escapade, one big journey. I don't really want to go too far into it without spoilers, but this is, you see Violet's confidence really come out in this one, and you really see the love, the depth of the love between Violet and Zayden intensify. So yeah. Okay, so that's all the books I read this month. We are now into February. I've already knocked out a book. Thanks for yapping about books with me. Thanks for hanging out. Let me know some of your favorite reads so far. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Toodles.